Takes more than guts to be a gangster. It takes good ideas, and I hope these ideas help you. Hey, what's going on, fellow gangsters? This is your mob boss, GangsterKT, and wanted to come out with a video today that I think will be really important for the event going on right now, and it's called Mob Resources: How to Spend Your Power Cores. Additionally, I'm going to touch in here on campaign energy and my thoughts on the new Gamma event. So, wanted to real quickly mention, if you like what I'm doing, if you like this type of content that's hopefully a little different for you, please put a hit out on that like button and subscribe button. With me being so new, still I'm only 2 weeks in, really helps me out and kind of know what you guys like and gives me a vote of confidence. So, appreciate that in advance, and let's get into this video. So first off, priorities for using power cores for the Absorbing Man event. This is just my take. I think, more than a lot of my videos, this is really going to be dependent on what your goals are, where you are in the game. But this is how I plan to prioritize it. And the next topic I'll discuss is where I hope to get with the event. So number one is really trying to maximize the portion you can get from the war energy, which is 14 war attacks. And so hopefully you can do this from more energy that you have saved up. But if you need to use power cores to refresh the blitz store to be able to get in those 14 attacks, I do think that's a good use of the 50 power cores. If you need to do it multiple times, you should be able to spread that out over the resets so that you don't have to get into the 100 core refreshes. But again, hopefully that's not needed. But if it is, I do think that's the most important thing. Similarly, the second is for raid energy refreshes. So you really shouldn't need to do this at all, but if you have to work all day and just get a few hours to get in raids and can maybe just do 5 attacks per raid, then this might apply to you there. And so again, something that shouldn't be needed, but if it does, I think it is worth using the 50 power cores to make sure you max out the raid credit portion of that milestone. So getting into the more common things, I do think doing the 50 core campaign energy refreshes for 200 cores a day is probably the most efficient use of the energy. You get a lot of gold, you get a lot of training mats, you get whatever you're farming, which we'll talk about later in this video, my recommendations there. But it's kind of a no-brainer and something I used to do all the time until these power core events came out, and now I feel it's more important to spend them and only do this during these events. Next one, because coordinated assault is going on right now, if your alliance still hasn't gotten that last milestone with how important the blue ISO 4 is, I do think it's worth doing a few 50 core ISO energy refreshes to help out your alliance and make sure you hit all those milestones. So next priority for me is the 100 core campaign energy refreshes. And I'll say while the campaign energy event is going on in parallel. I think it's called Special Offensive. I think it comes out a day after the Absorbing Man event, so tomorrow. And I do think this is worth it so that you can double dip there with that campaign energy as well. Again, you're getting more gold, more training mats, and whatever you're farming with campaigns. So next item, and not sure if this is going to be possible, but if they do have an option or an offer in the store for 675 cores to get an orb of one of the new characters, I do think that's worth. I'll be doing that. I think it's worth considering for everyone. Hopefully that's Kang, if he does come out while this event's going on, which it sounds like people are predicting he will. Maybe they'll throw Absorbing Man back in there. That'd be really nice of Scopely, so it's probably doubtful. I wouldn't do, I know Cloak's in there right now, or at least last time I looked, I sure wouldn't do this to get his shards, which would just go to Ultimus Food. But overall, I do think as important as these new characters are and really trying to get a 5-star if possible for the Masters of Evil, knowing it's going to be used for a legendary, I do think that is a good use of cores to try and maximize this Absorbing Man event. And then, sometimes Scopely will put things in the supply store that you can buy with cores, so I don't know what might be there. Might not be anything there. Definitely don't buy the 2 red star orbs for 900 cores. I actually did that for about a year when I first started playing before I knew what I was doing, but that would be a huge mistake. But if there's good character shards for a lot of cores, kind of compare it to these other things on the list and see if that's a good deal for you. After those, I personally would not be spending any more cores. If I'm getting into where I have to do the 200 power core refreshes for campaign energy, or just, the exceeding costs of some of these things over time, I think that's getting way too inefficient. There's going to be more power core spending events down the road, so that's kind of going to be my point to stop. So my ability to actually go far on this event, I have about 5,000 cores saved up right now, is going to be dependent on if they do have the new character offers for 675 cores, because again, if not, there's really only so much you can spend depending on what they throw in the store. So getting into what am I going to be going for here. So my hopes are, I don't think I have enough cores to get to milestone 35, the last one. I would love to, because that would give me the 5-star absorbing man right there. The T4s would be nice. That 5 red star orb would be really nice, but I think that's probably doubtful. So I'm going to shoot to get to the one right before that. The blue 300,000 blue ISO 4 I think is extremely valuable. Those T17 pieces for Mystic are extremely valuable. Getting 20 of each of those will let you take one gear piece up for T17 for a character. And then I definitely want to make sure I get the absorbing man shards at milestone 33, because even though that wouldn't put me quite at 5-star, there will hopefully be a few more random shards of him here and there, as they've been doing recently, that can let me get to that 5-star. So that's my target. As you can see, my absorbing man right now, before this event started, did have him at 3 stars and 36 out of 80 on the way to 4 stars. So again, the full 180 from this event would get me to that 5-star I need, but it is going to be tight. So with that advice there, that's going to be a lot of extra campaign energy because you're coring the nodes. So I did think I would share how I spend my campaign energy. So the first thing I do, and this is probably one thing in the game I do more just kind of for fun than to truly min-max, although I don't think it's that bad of a play. But any characters I don't have at 7-star, I am farming on a daily basis, and that's always my first priority. So, how important is it that I get Lady Thor to 7-star instead of 6 right now? Not very important. It's always great to have, but it'd probably be more valuable to farm other things. But again, it's a hero collector game, and that's the one place that I let myself have a little fun instead of just purely min-maxing. My next priority is the nodes with the gold orb fragments. So right now that's the Heroes Hard Node 5-6 and the Heroes Hard Node 4-6. So I think gold is so important with this level cap increase, and even though it might not feel like a ton, and it's not, those things in this game really add up over time, and I think that's very important to do those. Next is the same with training mat orb fragments. So right now that's Villains Hard 5-6, and when Villains Hard 6-6 comes out, that has them as well, and not sure how much energy those will cost to do yet, but it actually has them at a higher rate than the 5-6 does just on the surface, so that's why I put that one first. Next thing I'm farm is nodes that have needed T16 mini unique pieces on them that I need. Again, some of those will come out when the hard chapter 6s are available, but I think that's going to be really important and a great value there to farm. And then lastly, with my extra energy, I farm nodes with just the most needed gear. So for me, that's the teal focus catalyst, the ones that are red. But if there's mystic pieces you need that you're short on or anything like that, it's just a great way to get those, with the real value being the golden training mats and just some of the other rewards from daily grinding of campaign nodes. So also wanted to throw out my thoughts on the new Gamma Raid. It's funny, and I'll give a shout out to Run7. Really appreciate him featuring me in his recent video. That was quite a surprise and pretty awesome to see. And at the end of that video, he had a funny clip with Ron Burgundy in it. So some of the content creators that I've been watching, the way that they're reacting to these new Gamma Raids, also reminded me of the Anchorman movie, and how Brick Tamlin just sit there and screams loud noises, like, just saying it to be loud, to be obnoxious. But if you really think through these new Gamma Raids, to me it makes sense. I'm really not mad about it. And again, just wanted to share my thoughts why. So I think most important, Scopely has to feed the whales and the krakens in this game. It's a business at the end of the day, and it's what allows the free-to-play players and the Dolphins to play how they want and really be able to enjoy this game. There's always going to be that delta with people that spend a lot of money. That's how mobile games work. That's how businesses work. It can be frustrating, but not something that we should be upset about or shouldn't expect. So there's many different ways that Scopely can feed the whales and the krakens, and some of them are so much more impactful than others. So I think, some of us at higher Crucible levels are seeing that now already in Crucible, maybe not as much in War yet, but our opponents have sometimes level 95 already or 93, and that's such a huge difference. So whenever they come out with one of those ways to feed the whales, increasing the level cap, if they're going to add blue stars down the road or adding T5s, things like that, it makes such a difference in the gameplay, and it really shrinkens that ability for the free-to-play players or the Dolphins to compete with the whales and krakens. So I think one important thing with this, they had to feed them, and they did it in a way that really didn't create too much of a competitive advantage for those players. It really just gave them something more to do. So it's mostly free to play. I also don't expect to be able to do all the new content immediately when it comes out. There's fun in this game, that sense of achievement, that sense of planning for things. Then when you finally get it, it feels really good. And so, like, to just be able to do everything immediately, I'm not sure if I'd even enjoy the game as much. I don't mind having content that I can't do yet, that I want to work with my alliance and plan on how we can get there. So it also gives alliances a chance to get creative again, to do a little more planning. Do you start putting everyone on the same lanes again and just go on the outside lane, skipping the Kree and Pimtech part, to try and maximize what you could possibly do on 3.5 without having to do a lot of new T16 investments. So I think that's really valuable for Alliance. With the way the Doom raids are, I don't think we have as much opportunity as that these days as we used to. And this does give us just a little more chance to work together with your Alliance, which is great for Alliance health. So I don't mind it for that regard. I will say that while a lot of people are saying, the Delta and rewards are fairly negligible, I actually do think that Elite Teal Raid Orb is very valuable. It's what gives the T17 pieces, and those are what we all need and are not easy to get. But I'll say it's probably not as valuable for the people that can do it right now, for the Whales Krakens. They probably have most of their Crucible teams already at that T17 point. So it's definitely valuable for them, but again, it's just not a huge delta that really increases how much more the Whales and Krakens can dominate over the free-to-play players and the Dolphins. So I think overall this is actually a pretty good solution to coming up with new content to keep everyone moving forward and satisfied. So I'm not upset about it, although I know a lot of others are. So I hope you found this video helpful today. I wanted to give a shout out to my mob buddy D Wade for the idea on the power core spending. I do think it's a good time with the event going on, and hopefully this helped you. As always, I give you my word that this is the best advice that I have. All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Peace.